ESPN college football. This is the Big Ten on ESPN. Michigan State comes to Happy Valley to take on number 7 Penn State. How happy will Happy Valley be? We'll find out. Michigan, Ohio State about to go to overtime. Penn State has to have an Ohio State win in order to get to the Big Ten championship game. It's time for our AT&T Inside Access, waiting, as we all are, down in the field. Allison Williams with James Franklin.
Thank you guys very much, Coach Franklin. That game in Columbus with so many implications for your team and your season is going to overtime. How do you make sure that no matter what happens in that game, it doesn't affect your team?
By not talking about it. Michigan State, Michigan State, Michigan State, Michigan State. It's awesome having all these Lettermen back. I think we got over 250 Lettermen. LeVar out there, I'm looking at him, looks like he can still play. We're focused on this game and this great environment we have.
Speaking of Michigan State, you told us they are a scary team. What makes them that?
I think they're the best 3-7 team in the history of college football. I know that sounds crazy. They took Ohio State to a one-point game last week. They've been great over the last 5 years. Coach D'Antonio has done a tremendous job. We better be ready to play.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Allison, thanks very much. Brock Eward, James Franklin can say what he wants to say. By the way, I'm Brock Shoes, and here with Brock Eward. He can say it's all about Michigan State. He can say they're focused on what's happening on the field. But they'll hear, most likely, a reaction in this stadium at some point as to the outcome of Michigan, Ohio State. As a player, how would you ever hope to deal with those emotions?
It's actually easiest for the player because you're starting to focus now on that opponent across from you. You're focused on that play script, your execution. Yeah, you've been sitting here warming up, and I'm sure they tried to turn every TV off, but they've got phones. These players, when they ran out on the field, knew it was a tight game. And none of them know that that game right now is in overtime. D'Antonio could care less. He wants to play with nothing to lose today. I don't know, I'm ready to play. After watching all this ball and all the ramifications of everything going on, I'd be ready to suit up and get after this one too.
Penn State won the toss. They have elected to receive. On the back of our cart camera down on the sideline, we're showing a very select few. Overtime as it begins between Michigan and Ohio State. Miles Sanders on the return for Penn State. Dodging tacklers, and he is out to about the 30-yard line. Well, there's a reason, Brock, that James Franklin wanted to take the football if they won the toss. That's because their offense, over the last 7 games, this win streak, they're averaging close to 40 points per game. And Trace McSorley, he has been, in many ways, the light that has lit this fuse.
He makes everyone around him better. He's the eraser for an offensive line that's got lots of moving parts. And I think as a head coach, too, this is also a statement of we want to be the aggressors in this. If the opponent has nothing to lose and plays that way, we have to as well.
Play action for McSorley on first down. He'll tuck it under and run. That's become a weapon for the Penn State QB as he picks up 2 yards. Riley Bulla brought him down, but of course, Saquon Barkley is really the engine behind this Penn State offense, turning things around as this season has gone on.
He's the best player on the field. Michigan State has to contain him. He loves to bounce and get outside, and that's where he's most dangerous.
A handoff to Barkley, and he tries to drive through tacklers to keep the play alive, and maybe picked up a half-yard, brought down by Robert Bowers. So again, Penn State, Michigan State, the outcome of this game, well, it will be in many ways determined by what happens at the Horseshoe as they are about to go to overtime between Michigan and Ohio State. Again, that cart for us going to keep on driving back and forth. Zone read, McSorley. He will be brought down short. So it will be a 3-and-out to start for Penn State. Here's what just happened at Ohio State. First possession of overtime. Quarterback run, J.T. Barrett into the end zone for a Buckeye touchdown. And Ohio State will send their defense out of the field to try and win a game, Brock, that if they are to pull this off in overtime is nothing short of miraculous, because their offense was invisible for almost 4 quarters.
Could not throw it the entirety of the game. The turnovers in big games are so critical, and they won that margin.
Wobbly punt, and then Sowers waves his team away from the football, and it will take a Nittany Lion bounce. Well inside the 15-yard line, all the way down inside the 14-yard line. There was a question as to who would take the field at quarterback to start the game for Michigan State? Would it be Tyler O'Connor? Would it be Damian Terry? It looks like Damian Terry and Tyler O'Connor are both in the huddle. And it will be Terry that will come out at quarterback. Actually, both players are out there. As Tyler O'Connor, it looks like, will join a wide receiver group to the far side right. Damian Terry will take the first snap at quarterback.
Be ready for a double pass. Penn State better be aware a quarterback is in the slot.
Zone read instead. A handoff. And getting loose is R.J. Shelton. And he's all the way out across the 20, close to the 23-yard line. Now, before the game, as the team broke up and went to the Michigan State locker room, Mark D'Antonio was down there with his quarterbacks coach, Brad Salem, and both of the two quarterbacks having a discussion, I guess, about just this, what the plan would be to start the game.
I'm going to need both of you. I'm going to need both of your skill sets. Going to be all hands on deck to get this done in this building this afternoon.
Second down and 1. Terry stays in as the starter. And that is an easy first down for Michigan State. Right up the gut. Brandon Bell made the stop on L.J. Scott. And Allison, you know why the plan was what the plan was at quarterback for the Spartans.
Because this game is important to both players, really. I mean, Tyler O'Connor making his last start for Michigan State. But on the other side, you've got Damian Terry, who's from Pennsylvania. And this will be his one chance to play in front of his home state. So Mark D'Antonio told us both of those personal factors would go into his decision as to who starts.
Terry off play action. Over the middle, wide open. He's got Shelton. R.J. Shelton breaking tackles. Inside the 35 of Penn State. Malik Golden eventually brought him down.
You said to me last night in our meeting, Bob, why the two quarterbacks? Has there been enough success with Terry in there? And I told you, Terry's an excellent runner, and you may need it against Penn State's group up front, who's been really dominant over their 7-game winning streak. And if he can add that component, and even the threat of that component in the passing game, will be much more difficult to contain than they've been in their struggle of a season.
L.J. Scott up the middle into the secondary. 7 more. Marcus Allen made the stop. What we called the Michigan State game. Michigan State, first drive offensively, right down the field, scored a touchdown. Against Ohio State, first drive offensively, right down the field and scored a touchdown. But in both of those games, the offense sputtered big time after those opening drives.
And what you're seeing right now is Michigan State getting a hat on a hat. You're here targeting's a negative defensively. It's wonderful on your O-line when they're targeting the blocks the way they are here in the first 15.
Long throw, Damian Terry intended for R.J. Shelton. Now it will be 3rd down and 7.
And Damian had him there, and that's part of his challenge as a passer. A terrific athlete. You're going to see plenty of zone read. A wonderful throw over the middle of the field on this possession. But everything you want, you had Bowen on the blitz, a linebacker. Just got to set your feet and trust that throw across the field.
Here comes the Penn State blitz on 3rd down. Damian Terry whips one to the 10-yard line that Monty Medeiros is able to wall off Grant Haley and hold on to. It is 1st and goal, Michigan State at the 9.
Called it beautifully. That's a 6'1" senior receiver against a 5'9" corner. And at times, just post him up. Like old school hoops. Right there, give me the ball, throw it to my outside arm. That's just a post entry in basketball. And boxing out and using your frame against an undersized corner. That's a big-time 3rd down conversion. Not enough of those in the execution of this offense through the course of the season. But can't script it much better than this to begin for the Spartans.
9th play of the drive. Michigan does score a touchdown. Amara Darbo extends overtime. Damian Terry back of the end zone over the head of Shelton.
I'll tell you what you're seeing here, and Damian Terry seeing a fair amount of some pressure. Last 3 snaps, you've seen extra defenders for Brent Pry, the D coordinator there for Penn State. Done a marvelous job with his group as they've gotten better. And we've got a guy making his first start of the season. What you don't want him to do is come into this environment and be comfortable. Penn State in attack mode defensively.
They show blitz again. Here they come. Running right into it is Damian Terry. And has there been more of an impact player in that front 7 this year for Penn State than Garrett Sickles.
No. Maybe Curtis Cawthorn inside number 52 because he sets the table for everybody else. But out on the edge, you're looking at the #1 guy when it comes to sacks, 6 on this team, tackles for loss. That puts him now at 12.5 for the season. Single-handedly took over that Ohio State game in the second half when he came off a suspension. Big play there to force the 3rd and extra long.
11th play, and this is 3rd and goal now outside the 10. Blitz off the edge, off his back foot, rifling one through the back of the end zone. Is Damian Terry, intended for Donnie Corley. That was Brandon Bell that came on the blitz. So Penn State's defense bends, but they don't break. They get a red zone stop, and it will be Michael Geiger to try and put Michigan State on the board. If he does, Brock, it would officially mean that Michigan State has had the lead at some point in every game they've played this year. And they're a 3-8 football team. It's hard to believe.
Nearly impossible.
A 28-yard field goal attempt for Geiger. And again, Michigan State is able to strike first. They've got the early 3-0 lead. We'll keep our eyes on the game as well when we return. Ohio State began overtime with a touchdown. How about the response from Michigan? Wilton Spate, Amara Darboh. 4th and goal from the 5. That is a touchdown. They not only would convert the extra point to force the 2nd overtime, but Michigan has just kicked a field goal. So they take the lead. Now it's back on Ohio State. If Ohio State somehow wins that game, then Penn State with a win today would have a trip to Indianapolis and the Big Ten championship game. If Michigan wins it, they're heading to Indy, and they will take on Wisconsin. Michigan State has the early lead here in Happy Valley. Back to the offense for the Nittany Lions in a moment. It's one of those days that makes college sports so special. Senior Day, and a group of seniors that stayed through thick and thin here at Penn State, Brock, and the hugs for James Franklin. Brian Guile, one of those 5th-year seniors that played D-tackle, offensive guard, now the starting center. And there are a lot of tears on Senior Day at these programs. And we saw some of them before the game.
Not many of them left. One of the smallest senior classes in all of college football, but gritty to say the least.
Back to the offense goes Penn State. Play action for McSorley. Steps up in the pocket, heaves a deep one over the middle, and that's incomplete. Saeed Blacknall, the intended receiver, stumbled a bit, and he was looking down at the turf as the ball was in the air. Couldn't relocate it. Justin Lane was there in coverage. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
I said to you driving over here, if I'm the coordinator calling plays today, I want to test these freshman corners out on the edge for Michigan State often and early. And I think you can dictate some of your aggressiveness, some of your mindset going into this game. Post route, trying to get over the top of quarters coverage, nowhere to go.
Barkley caught behind the line and dropped for a loss of 2. Robert Bowers with another tackle for loss. It will be 3rd down and long, and this is a team that has not done well this season on 3rd down.
Well, it's these situations, and whereas Michigan State was targeting on their offensive line and getting movement and a hat on a hat, Joe Moorhead's looking at 3 run plays right now where Michigan State's getting on the edges, where they're getting after this young, inexperienced offensive line with lots of new moving parts.
3rd and 13. Blitz coming. McSorley keeps the play alive, uses his plant hand, and unloads to DeAndre Tompkins. He dropped the ball. So it will be a punt for Penn State. Now, in case you're wondering why a replay of the quarterback for the home team being down on what would be a sack is drawing this kind of a reaction from the crowd, well, that's because Ohio State just got the job done. The Buckeyes have scored in overtime, double overtime to be exact. And now James Franklin and the Nittany Lions know it. If they win today, they are going to the Big Ten championship game. That television on the back of our camera cart might be the only one in the building that any of these fans can see. Although I would wager Watch ESPN might have been up on a phone or 2 because the whole building exploded just as the touchdown was scored. What a scene. Blake Gillikin to punt from inside his own 5-yard line. Another wobbly one. Sowards lets it bounce, and it takes another good Nittany Lion roll to the 31-yard line with a very late flag thrown. Penn State, Michigan State, a 3-0 lead for Michigan State, but this happened a moment ago. Curtis Samuel, touchdown, overtime, ball game. Ohio State wins the game as they come from behind and beat Michigan. And there was a roar for those of you that might just be joining us now here in Happy Valley. The entire crowd reacting to the fact that they now know Penn State, with a win today over the 3-8 Spartans, will be headed to the Big Ten championship game. L.J. Scott again finds a crease inside the 30-yard line before he's tripped up right at the first down marker by Brandon Bell. And that is without measurement. Another Spartan first down.
And that's Josiah Price, the tight end, all over Koa Farmer, the linebacker, not letting go, driving blocks down the field. You see Michigan State go up-tempo. Penn State can't get off blocks right now.
And it's Damian Terry at quarterback getting a start in his home state. Backwards pass. R.J. Shelton back to Terry. Blockers out in front. He's inside the 20. He's inside the 15 before he's brought down at about the 13-yard line. The trick play gives Michigan State a first down in the red zone, a gain of 15.
Nothing to lose. Empty the playbook. Take advantage of every opportunity you have. Damian Terry making the first start this season. Kabinda back in. That's good news for Penn State. But you've got an opportunity to be a season wrecker here if you're Sparty on this side and to find a way to find just a little pleasant surprise after a very difficult 3-8 season.
L.J. Scott lost a yard on first down. Marcus Allen made the stop.
Shelton's a dynamo. He's a slot receiver that does just about everything. He used to be a running back. Not surprised that they run the double pass and give it to Shelton for him to throw back across the field to Terry. This is what you do when you're 3-8. You go for 2-point conversions a week ago against Ohio State. Good timing there for Terry. Just a good enough actor to create that opportunity. And once again, big fella's getting a hat on a hat.
L.J. Scott brought down behind the line again. Ryan Buchholz came through first. Now, the last time Michigan State was down inside the 15-yard line, Penn State got a stop and forced a field goal as their defense now is in position to get another red zone stop, but their offense has lost 8 cumulative yards in the first 12 minutes.
And a quarterback, you got to be careful here. Understand there's an opportunity for points. Don't take a sack and don't take any unnecessary risk down the field.
4-man rush on 3rd and 16. Damian Terry, bullet swap, outside the numbers, incomplete. So it will be another field goal attempt for Michael Geiger to try and stretch to an early 6-0 lead for Michigan State. Six yards for Geiger. He's got another just inside the left upright. So Michigan State has the 6-0 lead. Miles Sanders deep to return the kick.
He's dangerous. The freshman's gotten better and better each and every week for Penn State.
Kevin Cronin, the kickoff man, with a line drive, and this one returnable from just outside the 5. Sanders breaks a tackle to the 23-yard line, and they go to their workhorse, Saquon Barkley. He hurdles up over the pile for a gain of about 1.5 yards as we take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry.
Well, there's no doubt Barkley is the engine that makes this whole thing go. Godwin's a guy, the captain, the difference maker, over 200 tackles in his career. Monte Nicholson, he's that safety, that extra, usually typically tackler today.
McSorley to the sideline. Up to make the catch. Mike Gesicki. Number 1 this season. Receptions by big yards by a ton in the Big Ten. He's got 19 more on that catch.
Well, let's put out to the next level when it comes in single season.
McSorley again to the air. This time it's DeAndre Tompkins. Stiff arm inside the 30. He's got a first down. Out of bounds at about the 27. He put the stiff arm to the true freshman Justin Lane, a gain of 13.
There's that true freshman out there on the perimeter, and Sparty's going to be willing to do this. They're going to want to keep everything in front of them, try to limit that big play. But if you play that defense and you play that soft, you've got to come up and make that tackle upon impact.
Chance to get one more play off before the end of the quarter for Penn State. McSorley looking over with 7 seconds on the clock. Let's see if they just let the clock expire. And it looks like it will go down to all zeros and end the first quarter. Will Penn State play in the Big Ten championship game? They have to beat Michigan State to do it, but Ohio State did their work for the Nittany Lions. Ohio State goes to the Big Ten championship game. And here's Saquon Barkley to start off the second quarter with a hard-working 5 yards to the Michigan State 21-yard line.
Well, we saw it a couple weeks ago against Indiana. They were hard yards. And he had just not even 2 yards a carry with 32 different touches. He's a warrior back there. And this team will not flinch. This has been a second-half team that has not panicked all season long, and I don't expect them to tonight.
Barkley reverses field, follows McSorley, tries to turn the corner and leaps out of bounds. And may have done well just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Monte Nicholson forced him out. He gets to the 20-yard line. Looks like it's a gain of 1, so it will be 3rd down and 4. First sustained drive of the game for Penn State. Can they keep it alive on 3rd down?
Keep an eye right in the middle here. Keep an eye on your tight end, your leading receiver, difference maker, especially in these downs and distances with that big body.
McSorley, quarterback draw. Short of the first down. Does James Franklin simply get points on the board, or will he go for it on 4th and 1 in the red zone?
You got to get points. In a day like today, in a game like this, you have got to find a way to get points. You don't want to give that opponent on the other side any momentum in my mind whatsoever that you don't have to. You take 3 with a kid that's been nearly automatic in his career.
91% so far this season, 93% for his career, by the way. He was 8 for 8 last season. 35 yards away to try to get the Nittany Lions on the board. And as usual with Tyler Davis right down the middle. It's been a battle of field goals so far as Penn State cuts the Spartan lead in half.
Our favorite kickoff guy in college football, because Joey Julius loves to run down and hit.
And kick it deep to R.J. Shelton. And this will hook to the left and go through the end zone for a touchback.
Mark D'Antonio content to go with more of the running option. Damian Terry, kid from the state of Pennsylvania, making his first start of the season at quarterback.
And Gerald Holmes now in for L.J. Scott at tailback. Play action. Terry up the seam, wide open. Josiah Price lowers his shoulders, and it takes 3 Nittany Lions to bring him down shy of midfield. Malik Golden was there first. That's a gain of 23.
Can't play action pass any better than that. Watch the reaction of your 2 middle linebackers. Brandon Bell, Jason Kabinda, they go 3 yards upfield. When you run it early, as they have, and been committed on their first 2 opening series, going up and down the field with that run game, that's a very easy pitch and catch. Play action pass at its very best.
Holmes inside the 40 for a gain of a yard. Again, if Penn State wins, they clinch the Big Ten East. They go to the Big Ten championship game. If Michigan State wins, the Buckeyes, off of a flat-out, miraculous, amazing overtime victory at the Horseshoe against Michigan, they would win the Big Ten East. They would go to the Big Ten championship game. So as hard as the Penn State fans were rooting for the Buckeyes to win their game against Michigan, all those Buckeye fans are rooting just as hard against Penn State back in Columbus, I'm sure, right now. Terry flips one to Shelton. Blockers out in front to the 35-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and 5 again. It's Malik Golden making the tackle.
One of those areas I love to watch is right here as well. You know, that game within the game. How much can you shorten this game? All the pressure is on Penn State. Sparty knows that. Mark D'Antonio knows it. It's why James Franklin told Allison before the game, this is the scariest team and the best 3-8 team maybe ever in the history of college football, because that guy knows how to coach to win.
They've had a lead in every game this season. Terry, blitz coming, beats it on the slant. R.J. Shelton makes the catch inside the 25-yard line. And Allison, that offensive line is being held together as best they can by Michigan State.
Yeah, 7 different starting combinations up front, but already 2 changes on the right side. Brandon Clemens is done for the game. David Beadle is in there backing him up. And as I was talking to you guys, I just saw Cody Keeler head into the locker room, the right tackle. So more attrition up front for Michigan State.
It's pretty remarkable. And if you're in that situation, I think you got a quick pass. You got to do what they're doing. Commit to the run, play action pass, and get the ball out of your hand with that quick passing game.
Another handoff to Holmes. And the surge picks him up 3 to the 21-yard line.
You see a little bit of tempo as well, not allowing Penn State to substitute.
Very late, Penn State runs Troy Apke at safety. He was barely set. They run the option right. And inside the 15, down to about the 12-yard line with a 1st down is Damian Terry. Jason Kabinda able to shake off that earlier injury, made the tackle. And here comes L.J. Scott back to the sideline as he has a big brace on the right knee. He had to go back to the locker room, and then they have him restabilized, but Gerald Holmes has run hard on this drive. And now Damian Terry shaken up. He was slow to walk back to the huddle, and now it will be Tyler O'Connor quickly putting the helmet on. He'll go in at quarterback. And we talked about the offensive line problems that Michigan State has had. They have had injuries with every personnel group. They have used a different starting lineup, not only on offense, but also on defense, in every game this year. 25 players have either started for the first time or are in a first-time starting role as a full-time starter this year for Michigan State. Now the starting quarterback, Damian Terry, obviously shaken up on that last play.
It's just incidental helmet-to-helmet contact there. That's one of the dangers of running the football at the quarterback position, but the benefit of having a quality starter right behind him.
O'Connor, a handoff. Gerald Holmes close to the 11-yard line before he is stacked up and driven back.
If you're going to beat the number 7 team in the country, as you see the staff working on Damian Terry, the neck, the head, pretty violent shot there from Troy Apke to safety. But if you're going to do it, you've got to find a way to score touchdowns in the red zone. 2 field goals so far in 2 trips.
Play action. O'Connor, his first throw of the game. Underneath, he's got his big tight end, Jamal Lyles, who reaches the ball out just to pick up an extra yard possibly, but nothing more than the 7-yard line. Grant Haley on the stop, so it will be 3rd down and about 5.
Shelton and Price. 12 and 7, those are your difference makers. 12 and 82, excuse me, 7 at quarterback now. Those are your 2 difference makers as D'Antonio looks at that call sheet.
How hard for Tyler O'Connor, coming off the bench cold, and now you're running plays right into the teeth of this student section.
90,000 barking at you, not hard.
He will throw up play action. Blitz coming. He does double clutch, and he goes down. Troy Apke untouched off the edge.
And very little room here. You're trying to play action, been successful on the drives. The safety blitz beats it, though. The only outlet was maybe in the flat or throw that thing in the back corner of the end zone, get it out of your hand to avoid the negative play. That one a little different than a week ago. That one, Brent Pry wins the chess match, bringing the safety, creating the sack.
3 double-digit play drives for Michigan State, all stall and result in field goal attempts. And Michael Geiger is now 3 for 3. Michigan State puts the lead back up to 6, but it's another red zone stop for James Franklin's defense.
This would be number 40 if those Michigan State seniors can get it tonight.
Last season, they were 6-1 in games decided by a touchdown or less. This year, 0-3. So even when they've had that chance in a close game to get a win, they've come up short. Miles Sanders breaks a tackle and gets bottled up along the sideline. But it's McSorley on first down. Long throw to the sideline. Time on the ladder. Deshaun Hamilton. He's got the first down.
That's big time, and that's one of the voids. Remember, we saw Penn State in Pitt earlier this year. Pat Narduzzi, same scheme. And I'll be very curious how much of we see that employed today. And they gave McSorley opportunities in the passing game. Didn't hit him early in the year, hitting him tonight.
There goes Saquon Barkley. And he'll try and turn the corner. Gets to the edge. It'll be second down and about 5, but Allison down on that Michigan State sideline. And boy, Allison, it goes from bad to worse for Mark D'Antonio's team.
Yeah, it really does. The injuries piling up for his offense. Running back LJ Scott came out of the locker room with a brace on that right leg, but he went and talked to Sally Nogler, head athletic trainer. She sent him back in the locker room. He is done for the night. Also, their quarterback, Damian Terry, who'd been playing the entire game over here on the sideline, he too is done. Very emotional, not being able to finish out this game.
Another long throw, dropped in. DeAndre Tompkins wins in man-to-man coverage, and it's a first down for Penn State.
Yeah, you got everybody committed to stopping that run. Saquon Barkley is not going to beat you. That is the mindset tonight for Mark D'Antonio. And Trace McSorley, if you can throw comebacks, and you can throw sail routes, and you can throw corner routes, and you can do it with the kind of timing, anticipation, and accuracy you are tonight, you're going to tip your cap. This is the void. This is the one area Michigan State right now is willing to give up.
Godwin with a nice catch. And it looks like it will be good for about 5 yards, but he worked hard to pull that one down.
He's a good player. He's been a good player for a bunch of years here. Been very productive. And you see the evolution of Penn State, why they are where they are, why they've won 7 in a row, being able to take advantage of what your opponent's given you. Not always pretty, many times dramatic, many times in the second half. But this team won't flinch in any way being down and down in the first half.
Quarterback run. McSorley, the C's part. He's got a first down. Back inside the 20-yard line. Riley Bullock, who became recently the 4th member of his own family to have 200 or more tackles in Michigan State history. He was there to make the stop, but not before. Trace McSorley picked up a first down, a gain of 10.
Right out of the playbook of Ohio State a week ago. How many times was it J.T. Barrett on a windy day against Michigan State? That same scheme, that QB draw.
Zone read, Barkley. Lost yards. Well, Penn State now might be back outside the red zone, but once they get inside the red zone, the field tightens, and that's where Trace McSorley is really struggling.
Yeah, so many aspects of his game I love. And as a first-year player, he's put this team, as far as the belief, really on his shoulders, and they rally around him. But these are the areas over the course of his career he will get better. It's tough. Those windows close. Everything gets tightened and tightened down and sped up in the red zone. Third downs, red zone, a couple places for a developing offense to still grow.
Second down and 14. Andrew Dowell able to get back in the game. Outside the numbers once again. Using a stiff arm to Saeed Blackman. That's a first down. First and goal at the 6.
More tempo from Penn State, and Mora picking on the true freshman corner, the 4-star receiver, Justin Lane, number 39. Play that soft cushion out there. Keep everything in front of you. You have to come up and tackle.
Saquon Barkley leaps, elevates. That's a Penn State touchdown.
There's certain times you see video in the weight room, 400+ pound power clean really come to life on the field. That's one of them. That is a powerful, explosive young man.
Penn State's got the lead. The 15th rushing touchdown this season for Saquon Barkley. The 17th total touchdown. Number 1 in the Big Ten.
Get up! Get up!
The only Big Ten running back that is a Doak Walker semifinalist is Saquon Barkley. And his touchdown, he has now scored against every team that Penn State has played this season other than Michigan and Ohio State. Puts the Nittany Lions on top. Rolling right. Tyler O'Connor up the sideline. And that is a completion to R.J. Shelton. That is a first down. Well, Brock, moving the football has not been the problem for Michigan State. It's what's happened when they have gotten to the red zone.
It's been a nice mix. It's been moving the line of scrimmage, their run game, the play action off of it. None of the game plan will really change with Tyler O'Connor in. There's some QB run, the Damian Terry, and that's why Mark D'Antonio started him. But Tyler's got enough experience, well-versed enough in this game plan. I think you're going to see that continued mix of run pass.
Blitz off the edge again. They screen behind it. Gerald Holmes hit and brought down by Garrett Sickles. Well, Tyler O'Connor's best game statistically this season was in relief. Brian Lewerke got the start after O'Connor missed the Maryland game because of injury and then didn't start against Northwestern in week 6 because of being ineffective. Trap handoff, Gerald Holmes, and he grinds out a first down. But against Northwestern, Lewerke was not effective, and Tyler O'Connor came on in the second half off the bench and threw for 281 yards and 3 touchdowns, both career highs.
Nothing to lose.
Another blitz from Penn State. O'Connor's got man coverage out on the edge, but a good job on Donnie Corley done by John Reed, as Reed simply forced him to the sideline, and Corley allowed himself to be taken out of bounds.
That's right, and that's as big a point as anything. Those line judges, those back judges aren't going to call that. You're giving yourself up now. If you're fighting to get back over the top and you're getting driven out of bounds, that DB's job, John Reed, is to do just that. And your job as a freshman receiver is to try to get back on top for your senior quarterback.
And that's something I've learned about, especially this year working with you, how from a quarterback's perspective, you want to see your receiver not just fight for the football, but fight for that flag. Make an effort to force the official to throw the penalty marker. And Corley didn't do it there. End around. R.J. Shelton. A gain of maybe 2. So now with 44 seconds to go in the half, that'll be a gain of 3. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
And you're within Geiger's range here. He's already kicked 3 field goals for you. These are these moments. You're Mark D'Antonio. You're hoping your redshirt senior quarterback knows they do not take a sack. Nothing negative here. An opportunity going into halftime to still put some points on the board. Take care of that football.
No hesitation over the middle to Jamal Lyles. Was that the same decision that he failed to make on the 2-point conversion last week against Ohio State?
Pretty darn close. Very similar, little different route scheme and concept, but the same idea. Get the ball out of your hands.
Big 3rd down conversion, preserving the timeouts as well. There's the other tight end, Josiah Price, inside the 10-yard line. So here's Michigan State again, driving down into the scoring zone. They've settled for 3 field goals on their previous 3 tries here.
Just look at the demeanor and look at the body language of quarterback, of group that's following his lead, and the confidence they're playing with.
Gerald Holmes up the middle. And now you'll probably use one of those timeouts if you're Mark D'Antonio, as Marcus Allen made the stop on Gerald Holmes. 1 timeout now remaining for Michigan State, still with 21 seconds to go before halftime. A flip to Shelton, turns the corner. Out of bounds inside the 5. Brandon Bell held the edge. Now it's 3rd down and goal.
Just about that same spot you had your 2-point conversion last week. 2-point conversion that we talked an awful lot about. The college football world did. We talked with D'Antonio this week that they were well prepared. Had 4 of them ready to go. Burned 2 of them through the course of the game. And I have a hunch if this is a pass, Mr. O'Connor's going to get the ball out a little quicker than he did a week ago.
And the timeout for Michigan State means the entire playbook is still at their disposal here on 3rd down and goal at the 3. Tyler O'Connor doesn't want to have to call it before the snap. They get the play off. End zone, flag down, incomplete, intended for Shelton. We'll have to check the penalty marker. It may be holding.
It was holding on the left tackle, Chewins.
Now, if you're James Franklin, do you give them another chance on 3rd down and back them up and make the field goal if you're able to get a stop a little more challenging?
I don't think so. No way.
You just decline it and have them kick it here?
Yeah, because you just watched an open receiver.
Offense number 61. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
No reason to play with fire there if you're Penn State.
And that's the youngster, one of many in Michigan State. Mark D'Antonio are having to play. The left tackle there, Cole Chewins, just gets beat. All he can do is reach and grab. That was a play kind of like the one a week ago that was there. There was an opportunity. Quarterback receiver to finish. Geiger, his 4th opportunity on 4 pretty successful drives up and down the field.
And this could very well give the Spartans a halftime lead. Short range for Michael Geiger. And he is 4 for 4 here in the first half. And Penn State will have to have another terrific second half if they want to play for the Big Ten title. 2-point lead for Michigan State at the break. Time to go to the studio. Adnan Burke, Danny Cannell, and Joey Galloway with the halftime report. Close out their season with a win. They'll have to do it in come from behind fashion, but if they do, they are in the Big Ten championship game thanks to Ohio State's win over Michigan. It's been a wild day. We're right in the middle of it here in the Big Ten. Bob Wischusen, along with Brock Heward, Allison Williams is with us as well. If Penn State is going to be able to do what they've done all season long, and that is be a great second half team, somehow they have to get their run game on track. 17 carries, 14 yards in the first half.
They do, and that was a point that James Franklin made to Allison going into halftime. He credited Michigan State and what they're doing up front, moving pieces around. I think it's also the game plan of Sparty.
Penn State won the toss and took the football. So not only does Michigan State end the first half with a field goal to take the lead, but here's R.J. Shelton on the kickoff return to begin the second half. Let's check in with Allison.
Trampled the Lions. That's what head coach Mark D'Antonio told his Michigan State team at the half, especially when it comes to making plays down the stretch, something they have struggled to do this year. Now they will have to do that without their quarterback, Damian Terry, out for the rest of the game. He does have concussion-like symptoms, so that means they are down to 1 quarterback. Tyler O'Connor is going to be the only man behind center for them. They must protect him. And Coach D'Antonio pleased with the way they were able to move the football in the first half, but guys, as you know, they have to start getting touchdowns in the red zone. They cannot be settling for field goals, have to do a better job of picking up the pressure in the red zone.
That's all they did in the first half, was kick field goals when they got deep. How about L.J. Scott out there to start the second half with the knee brace on under the football pants now. He's able to maybe get forward progress for a yard before he is driven back by Brandon Bell.
Brandon Bell and Curtis Cothran right in the middle. A couple names we didn't call an awful lot in that first half. And I'll say this, you've got 2 programs that have established some pretty unique cultures. James Franklin's done in year 3 and turned this thing for Penn State. The amount of guys that are just beat up for Michigan State and still playing at 3-8, often they will tap out. I'm out. I'm done. My body hurts. Cody Keeler's out there. He is all wrapped up. He's trying to survive. L.J. Scott gets knocked out with a knee injury. He comes back, shows the want to and the sacrifice of a Michigan State culture that's accomplished an awful lot over the last 4 years.
Play clock at 5. O'Connor, play action, under some pressure, buying time, and throws it away. Well, if they are to protect Tyler O'Connor, they're going to have to keep a great pass rush off of him for the rest of the game, because in spite of the fact that Carl Nassib, Anthony Zettel, and Austin Johnson all went to the NFL, Brock, this group is still number 3 in the Big Ten this year in sacks.
Yeah, it's because of this. They could not keep Michigan State off schedule in that first half. The first 2 snaps they sure have, and feel the electricity at Beaver Stadium.
Four-man rush on 3rd and 9. O'Connor under pressure. Down he goes. Curtis Cothran got there first.
Penn State loves to run line stunts on 3rd down and obvious passing situations and play zone behind it. Curtis Cothran, a man possessed. You could see him take that inside charge. Those 2 D tackles run a stunt. He doesn't get picked up. That's the advantage of a 290-pound difference maker in the middle of your D-line.
They might give Evan Schwan a half a sack as well. Jake Hartbarger punting for the first time from his own end zone. And it's a wobbler, but it gets the job done. Across the midfield stripe, not too bad from the sophomore, averaging about 42 yards per kick for his career.
Been a while since Penn State's been on offense, in large part because of Michigan State's ability to control that first half. They get what they want, a 3 and out. They do it with their D-line. Let's see their adjustments in the run game. That was a priority going into halftime.
Close to an hour since Penn State ran a meaningful offensive play. They'll do it with Saquon Barkley here, and they begin with their best field position, taking advantage. A dive for 4 over Riley Bullough. And just like that, Penn State in plus territory.
Part of the reason you're such a dominant second half team is your coaching staff. And this is a good one. James Franklin surrounded himself with an excellent staff, and their adjustments going into and coming out of halftime as big a deal as their success in the second half as anything.
McSorley on a keeper for about 3 more. Chris Fry tripped him up right at the 45-yard line. 3rd down and 3.
And that Sparty front 7, they were difference makers. You could see the shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. You could see the eyes in the backfield, never allowing a lane for Barkley. And then when they take Barkley away on the perimeter, those active linebackers there to finish the inside tackles. Couldn't do it much better in that first half as far as that run game goes, and that was a priority coming in. Make somebody other than Barkley beat you.
5-man rush. Beaten easily on the pitch and catch. McSorley to Saeed Blackmore.
That's now the 3rd little hitch, and that gets the tempo going. Chains move, the tempo goes. That's now the 3rd opportunity where that little 6-yard just pitch and catch. You can't get anything easier on 3rd down. And Michigan State content Justin Lane, the freshman, to keep everything in front of him.
McSorley's connected on his last 7 straight passes. 2 by 2 this time as Gesicki goes in motion. McSorley fakes to Barkley and moves the pile for about 3 yards. It still is a fight up front for that front 7 for Michigan State without their best and biggest difference maker. Malik McDowell, Brock, first-team preseason All-American, projected to be a top 5 pick before the season started in the NFL draft. Ankle injury. He's been out the last 2 games and didn't even make the trip. So this is a younger group that Mark D'Antonio has gone to up front. McSorley off play action. Pumps once. He's looking end zone. Chris Godwin. That's a Penn State touchdown. Penn State takes the field position, turns it into 7. They've got the lead back.
Football is a game of adjustments, especially when you come out of halftime. Penn State, a few better in the second half in making those adjustments. Hitch, well, not this time. How about a double move on a safety? That's taking advantage of your opponent, and that's some brilliant X's and O's in execution.
Touchdown pass thrown from Trace McSorley to Chris Godwin. Godwin's 15th career touchdown here at Penn State. He's in the top 10 in receptions, yards, and scores, and his 8th this season. Gives the Nittany Lions the lead. R.J. Shelton looking for a lane on the run back. Flag down as he does get out to about the 31-yard line or so. Penn State shows a first down blitz. And running right behind the blitz is L.J. Scott. And he is met by Jason Cabinda. We expected some L.J. Scott, Jason Cabinda collisions today, and we got one there.
Too powerful man. That's a 230-pound battering ram, and L.J. knocked out of the game early. So was Cabinda. And both of these guys fighting. They know what's on the line. They know what's at stake. For L.J. Scott, it's pride for this crew to send the seniors out the right way. And for Cabinda and this Penn State team, who's been such a dominant second-half team, trip to Indianapolis in the Big Ten championship on the line here in the second half.
Again, that diamond bunch that they bring Scott out of on 2nd down and 8. Play clock at 2. O'Connor, shovel pass. No, going nowhere. Cabinda in the middle of the pile, along with Torrance Brown all over Price, and now it's 3rd down and long.
It's back-to-back first down snaps pressure, 2nd down snap pressure. James Franklin said going into halftime to Allison, now, Michigan State's been way too comfortable. They've been on schedule. They've been 3rd and mediums. It's these 3rd downs that are, well, a disaster for a rebuilt O-line and play right into the hands of the speed at the 2nd level of Penn State.
Here comes a 5-man rush. Long throw. Shelton slipped. R.J. Shelton lost his footing coming out of his break. I'm not sure he would have been able to pick up the first down anyway. But Tyler O'Connor, as a result, threw it right over his head.
4 possessions in the first half, 4 sustained drives, 4 field goal drives. And they did it by winning on 3rd down, and 3rd downs were much simpler than 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 11, the 2 that have knocked them off the field here in the second half.
A better punt this time from Hartbarger. And a fair catch at the 31-yard line by Greg Garrity. 46-yard punt. Penn State football. They've got the lead when we come back. Welcome back to Happy Valley on this Thanksgiving weekend. And our crew taking some Thanksgiving selfies and saying happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there, from my family to yours as well. The Shoes and Kids making an appearance, as is LeVar Arrington, by the way. Taking selfies over on the sideline. Bark, he spearheaded a charge to, in cooperation with James Franklin, get over 250 Penn State football alums to be on the sideline to see if they can cheer them on to the Big Ten championship game.
Kids are out of school for Thanksgiving break. This has been a challenging weekend to get everybody back in the building, and James Franklin challenged LeVar and some of those lettermen to come back. They've averaged about 50 or 60 or so a game, well over 200 in attendance tonight. Mission accomplished.
McSorley, play action. Dumps it off to Saquon Barkley. Got lost out of the backfield. Tripped up at the 37-yard line by Darian Hicks, but it's a pickup of 6 on first down.
And you could see McSorley a little sore getting up. He's been a guy that we've watched this season. He gets banged up. He's willing to sacrifice that body, do whatever it takes. I'll tell you right now, this is a pretty critical drive. Michigan State is not built to come from behind. Part of the reason they have struggled so mightily in the second half, falling behind, well, disadvantage for Michigan State and the inability for them to have that run-pass balance and mix that they have to have. Big-time drive here for Penn State.
Blitz coming. Swing pass. Barkley makes the catch. Uses speed and picks up the first down. Andrew Dowell made the tackle, but not before Saquon Barkley got out to the 42-yard line, and a fresh set of downs for the Nittany Lions. On Tuesday night, when the college football playoff rankings appear again, where will Penn State be? Where will the Buckeyes be? What will happen to Michigan? Saquon Barkley right up the gut. But check that Robinson. Andre Robinson found a hole and got to the 43-yard line.
We saw this on tape with Michigan State when their defense is on the field too much. Ohio State hit a couple of those seams. JT Barrett and crew a couple different times. They just split the middle of that defense as those eyes are in the backfield looking at zone read, looking at some of that edge run, and just right up the gut, one of the rare creases. Focal point in halftime to get that run game corrected. Good execution from the Nittany Lions.
Barkley caught behind the line this time and does well to dodge Robert Bowers and simply get to the sideline, lose only a yard. But there's the negative play on first down that Michigan State needed to create as Chris Fry held the edge as well.
I'm going to be real curious here over the final 22 minutes or so. That Michigan State secondary, those corners with Mark D'Antonio that have been asked to keep everything in front. There has been so much cushion in some of these obvious passing situations. They get burned on a double move. I think it's time to close down that cushion, and you can see it on the perimeter.
Four-man rush on second down and 12. McSorley gets out of the pocket, heaves one towards the end zone, underthrown. Gesicki fights for it. He's got it. That's a Penn State touchdown.
Kid's just a gamer. He's been all season long. Gesicki's been a difference maker for him. Love the vertical switch release. Has him early. Trace doesn't see it, steps up in the pocket. Perfect example of give your big guy a chance. The worst thing you could do, and we saw it on the other side with an open tight end, is sail it over his head. Joe Moorhead likes it, new offensive coordinator, and they sure like Trace McSorley. His teammates love him.
Penn State now has a 2-score lead. They have dominated teams in the second half. But Trace McSorley, in the top 5 in America in deep balls thrown, scores a touchdown to Gesicki there. Joey Julius sends one to R.J. Shelton. He will take a knee.
And Penn State, they're not thinking about it now. They've got 22 minutes they want to finish.
Now, there might be some Ohio State fans out there that think you won at number 2 against number 3 today. You're in. You're in the college football playoff. Don't risk even playing a Big Ten championship game. Let Penn State go. Play action. Rolling right as O'Connor throws one across his body, and coming back to fight his way to the football is Donnie Corley. And that's a first down in front of Amani Oruwariye. Having said that, though, Brock, do you even want that college football playoff committee to have the debate?
No.
If Penn State goes to the Big Ten championship game and they win, and a team that you lost to and you couldn't even beat in your own division and then went on to win your conference, you're going to leave them out of the playoff and put Ohio State in?
No way. If I'm an Ohio State fan, I am rooting like mad for Michigan State, so you control all of it on the field and not in the committee room.
A pile up at about the 42-yard line. Delton Williams marked down after a gain of only 3, so it's 2nd and 7. Williams again, this time much more effective, close to a first down. He's a yard shy. So another 3rd down coming up for Michigan State. This time, though, only 3rd down and a yard.
You want to take a risk? You got a shot to Josiah Price. You got a one-on-one, much like Penn State hit on the other end to their game changer. You got a one-on-one to R.J. Shelton that you can create, knowing that this is now 4-down territory. You've got a good one. You've been saving a creative one. Now's the opportunity.
Quarterback sneak. And that looks to be plenty good enough for a first down as Tyler O'Connor picks up 3.
Or with a beat-up O-line, lots of new pieces, lots of new guys in there, and inexperience up front. You just get that first down and give yourself another 4 snaps.
Still Delton Williams in the backfield. Losing the football on the exchange is Tyler O'Connor, who's got it. We've got players both pointing in their respective directions, but it's only the guys in the striped shirts that matter. Which way will they point? Penn State football. I think the head coach can taste it. A lot of time left, but it's a takeaway. The first turnover of the game for either team.
You see polling linemen, and anytime that occurs, you try to get out of their way as a quarterback, but you have to. I mean, you have to secure that snap. And James Franklin told us two things. I said, what do you want to accomplish outside of the win? Obviously, that's priority number one. He said two things. Number one, win the turnover battle. Take that ball away. That's why he was attacking Brent Pry, the defensive coordinator, knocking his headsets off. And number two, to play hard. Play as hard as they could play, 6 seconds at a time. And they're winning both of those columns right now.
Barkley. Gain of about 2.5. Riley Bulla. Mike Panasuk. Combine on the tackle. Very slow to get up. And not even able to put any weight on that right leg is Saquon Barkley. So Alabama has a 2-score lead. Penn State with a 2-score lead, but their best player, and probably the best player in the stadium today, is on the bench right now, and it looks like he has a knee injury to worry about. Saquon Barkley, and the head coach is over there just as concerned. 2nd down and 7 as Mark Allen takes over at tailback to the right of McSorley.
Situation they found themselves in last week. A lot of opportunities for Robinson and Allen. They finished strong a week ago.
Play action. Another deep ball. Out in front is Godwin. Touchdown. Penn State's on a 7-game win streak. During this streak, they have averaged over 39 points per game, and they've got 31 on the board still with 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. R.J. Shelton from the goal line. Doesn't even make it to the 20. L.J. Scott back in the game, fighting through a knee injury and fighting for whatever yards he can get up the middle for about 3.
And by the way, Chris Godwin's not bad either. Double-digit catches last year, a couple touchdowns in this matchup. There's just games that become matchups at times. We talk about it in hoops all the time, but you see it as well with the structure of coverages and opportunities that you get to deliver on.
I went to Boston College. A few years ago, I called Penn State against BC in the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, and as a Boston College fan, I had nightmares about Chris Godwin. I mean, it was one deep ball after another. He is a great player when you get him some time and space. Up the seam, Monty Medeiros lost the football. It was jarred free. Marcus Allen with the hit. It looked like Medeiros not only had the football, but a big gain as well until Allen took it away.
And that's textbook, more pressure, single safety. That's your job. You have got to dislodge receiver from football, and he does it the way you want to see him do it. That strike zone right there in the sternum. And you hit him with the force, drive the ball out, and you drive Michigan State once again into a nearly impossible situation with their offensive line against this group defensively.
Four-man rush. Under pressure, O'Connor. at the 5. Down he goes again. Kevin Givens, the redshirt freshman, is there to get a sack all the way back to the 7.
There's that line stunt that this group is so good at. Just play 7 in coverage. It can run and cover everybody up, and then allow those 4 to stunt. Givens is an animal. He was a former end. He's put on weight. 260-pound D tackle. Just prototypical to run those kind of stunts on 3rd down. Can almost taste it in this building, can't you? To where this program was 5 years ago to now be 15 minutes away from a trip to a conference championship in a division with Michigan, with Ohio State.
And this play blown dead at the line as Hartbarger's punt was deflected.
The 3rd quarter expired.
And that takes us all the way down to the end of the 3rd quarter. We head to the 4th with Penn State trying to get to the Big Ten championship game. They've got some kind of lead. Hartbarger from the end zone to start the 4th quarter. Fair catch called for and made at about the 48-yard line by Garrity.
And I think in many ways, not to go too big picture, but over the last 5 years with this program, I think there's something to be said that the adversity that they overcame here when everybody counted them out and could not imagine them being in this kind of position has played a big role in the grit and determination they have.
McSorley coming back to help his quarterback is Blacknall. Picked up 4 yards. Yeah, are we watching the Cinderella story in college football this year? Because we called that Penn State Pitt game back earlier in the season, and we walked out of Heinz Field, I'm sure never imagining, just as many else would, and then a few weeks later when Penn State got drubbed by Michigan, to think that they're on their way to the Big Ten championship game?
I don't even know who's in that debate.
McSorley, long throw to the sideline, and once again making the catch is Chris Godwin.
And this is go finish. It's a little conversation on that sideline. Joe Moorhead, head coach, James Franklin, coordinator Moorhead, go finish. Go finish this team up. We don't just need 3 runs and punt. Go down and put the capper on this thing and end it and get us ready for a trip for the Big Ten title next week. I mean, who's even in that conversation? Western Michigan? I mean, they're a wonderful story as they've run the table this year. But as far as Cinderella and where they have come from this season, Oklahoma, no, because there were huge expectations on them before the season. I don't think there's any other story, Cinderella story, better than this one.
Andre Robinson for 4 yards. That will take the clock down inside of 7 minutes to go. Nittany Lions taking their time, looking over to the sideline, and now they start to signal in the play with the play clock down to 20.
This has been the guy when they isolate him away from the formation if they want a one-on-one shot.
Instead, they'll run it inside the 10, inside the 5, and into the end zone is Andre Robinson. The 5th rushing touchdown this season for the redshirt freshman Andre Robinson. And it's 38-12. How did Penn State arrive where we are now? They've had some key games that have affected them this season. How about against Minnesota? Tyler Davis with a 40-yarder with 2 seconds left that forced overtime, and then in overtime, Saquon Barkley won it 29-26. Of course, the play of the college football season, arguably. Grant Haley returning the blocked field goal against Ohio State for what would be the game-winning touchdown, and then Michigan losing to Iowa on Keith Duncan's 33-yarder opens it up so that if Ohio State beats Michigan, Penn State would go to the Big Ten championship game, and that is exactly what happened earlier today in overtime at the Horseshoe. A lot of dominoes had to fall James Franklin's way, but they did, and they win the Big Ten East. 6.5 minutes away from the official celebration.
Pretty remarkable run, isn't it? And I would contend for their team in-house, I mean, all those dominoes outside of house they couldn't control. But in-house, when you believe, when you truly believe that you can do it. And those are the steps, as James Franklin said to us this season, as they found these ways to win in overtime. Make the plays against top team in the country or number 2 with Ohio State. That you just create a sense of belief that you can overcome anything.
We thought Michigan and Ohio State were the second and third best teams in the country, and they basically played to a draw because Ohio State won in miraculous fashion at home.
I just know if I sit in that committee room, how you play down the stretch and you lose a couple games in November, that matters to me, versus a Penn State team that's won 8 in a row. A Wisconsin team that's playing their best ball and on a winning streak, and they've put themselves in a position to win a conference championship next week in Indianapolis. And I think if you ask Mark D'Antoni about what James Franklin's done this year and playing against this opponent tonight in this building, he would say, yep, put them in a position in the final weekend of the season. Put them in a position to play for one of the final 4 spots.
Screen thrown and almost intercepted. Brandon Bell read the screen and came up and almost got a sliding pick. It'll be 3rd down and 10. It is a great debate.
Sure is.
Because there's a chance the Big Ten championship game will be played, as we take another look at the near interception by Bell. The Big Ten championship game will be played by 2 teams, both in the top 6. And you're telling me there's a chance that the winner of that game doesn't have the chance to be in the top 4.
Yep, and 5 and 6 both lost to Michigan. In my standings, if Michigan falls 2-7. Michigan beat both of them. Michigan drugged this Penn State team early in the season. Different team, different makeup.
There's a check down once again. And getting to the sideline is Delton Williams, but net by Grant Haley. Now it's 4th down with 5 minutes to go. And once again, it looked like for a second Michigan State might go for it, but now Mark D'Antonio truly is waving the white flag. He's going to send his punt group out. And it's been that kind of an afternoon for Mark D'Antonio, and it's been that kind of a season for Michigan State. Booming kick once again. Greg Garrity fields it on a fair catch inside the 20. Play action for McSorley. He's looking deep again. Reaching up to make the catch is Juwan Johnson. And in case you're wondering why, up 38-12, Penn State continues to take shots downfield. Well, last year, Michigan State didn't take their foot off the gas pedal at the end of what was a lopsided win against these Nittany Lions.
You think they remember that around here?
I would think there might be a little bit of payback in the minds of James Franklin and the Nittany Lions, that you, at the end of the game last season, had your fun. Well, this year we get a chance to have our fun with 4 minutes to go. McSorley again. Again, he's looking deep. This time for Irvin Charles. Incomplete. And part of the fun that Michigan State had last season, Brian Allen's older brother, Jack, who is now gone, but he was the starting center. He got a chance to score a touchdown. And that's his brother taking the ball away. Brian stole it from Jack. And it was a lot of smiles and a lot of laughing going on the sideline of what was really an embarrassing way for Penn State to finish
over 50
the
points.
season.
Sure. You think any of this is style points? The Penn State saying to everybody in that committee as well that, hey, you know, Ohio State 17-16, tight game. Michigan, tight game with Michigan State. And we routed them.
That one intended for Juwan Johnson again. And you mentioned how the second half numbers were going to tell the story. Well, both teams played to their numbers.
Yep.
Michigan State this year's been terrible. Penn State's been one of the best teams in football in the second half and in the fourth quarter in particular.
Now you're going to do this, take your shots. You better make sure you protect your quarterback, because I'm going to guess a blitz is coming.
Here comes that blitz. A flip pass over the middle. Andre Robinson wide open and into the end zone for another touchdown.
This may be one of the more compelling handshakes we've had all season. And this is the back and forth. And Mark D'Antonio said to us yesterday, hey, we've been on the other side of the rainbow. We've tasted an awful lot of success for a long time in our building. And we're unfortunately getting to taste the other side of it. And James Franklin said we've waited a long time, and there have been an awful lot of tears and heartache in this community for where this program once was to what it's taken to build it back up. And they're going to savor and enjoy every moment when they've got an opportunity. As for me and my house, I think we're probably about done. I want to probably prepare for that Big Ten championship next week. I thought that last drive was the final dagger. An opportunity to really put your stamp on it. This one feels maybe just a little over the top, but then again, I haven't felt what this program has felt for the last 5 years.
Line drive kick. That will hook out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. And it is Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley. That combination that has triggered what has been a magic carpet ride.
Yep.
We'll see if it continues next week. And of course, the story this week, if you're a Penn State fan, how significant is the injury to Saquon Barkley as Delton Williams runs for a couple of yards.
And I think that shot you had of James Franklin talking and covering up his microphone, I think that's probably a talk to the booth. You saw Moorhead, saw the receiver coach, you saw all of them say, okay,
we've proved our point.
yeah, we can call off the dogs. You know, that's enough. And even if they're giving us the looks and they're blitzing and giving us one-on-ones, let's find a way. We made our statement. We made it loud and clear. We're a second-half team. We were not going to flinch, not going to panic whatsoever in the first half. Going to trust the processes that young kid has in his development. And what a process it's been in 2016.
Up the middle goes O'Connor. Well, this is the third season for James Franklin at Penn State. He won 6 games year 1. He won 7 games year 2. He's about to win 10 games with games still to play now in year 3. Blitz again. Almost intercepted. Intended for Tristan Jackson. It'll be 4th down with 2:21 to go. Is there a coach, though, that you would have more belief in to right the ship and make this an anomaly rather than a trend than Mark D'Antonio?
Nope, and a lot of these freshmen that played would have been redshirted years ago. But they had to play this year, and they took their lumps, and they got physically beat up for it. But their development, it is a development program, and their development in that resume speaks for itself through a decade plus.
Again, the blitz comes on 4th down. O'Connor high over the middle and almost intercepted. It is a turnover on downs. And again, Tyler O'Connor has to pick himself up off the deck as Aaron Monroe almost had a chance at an interception. With 2:17 to go, Penn State, barring Michigan State calling timeouts, which they will obviously not do, on this possession just about to the point where they could take a knee.
And what a matchup next week in Indianapolis. 2 battle-tested teams have been through early season adversity and have done nothing but get stronger and stronger through the course of the season. And we've seen both this year. It's our 3rd time calling a Penn State game. We saw Wisconsin earlier, and I think that's going to be one heck of a matchup.
Who do you like?
Probably like the quarterback play of Trace McSorley. I've got to know if Barkley's there, though they have depth at the running back position. I like the way he's playing in those moments, quarterback versus a Wisconsin team that at times has a real hard time finding balance offensively.
Sanders reverses Fields.
I think I can say this confidently, though. If Penn State gets a lead in that game, look out. Look out. If James Franklin and his crew can put together a first half that in any way looks like their second halves, that they're going to find a way to be Big Ten champs and make a real statement and create a real debate in that committee room.
What ought to be the final play as the crowd celebrates the Big Ten East Championship for Penn State and a trip to the Big Ten title game. Stevens takes one last snap, flips it in the left flat. And Michigan State will converge, but that will end the game. The unlikeliest of Big Ten divisional champions, the Penn State Nittany Lions are headed to Indianapolis to meet Wisconsin for the Big Ten title. And what a season it has been for Trace McSorley, and what a game today. Let's head down to Allison.
Thank you guys so much. Coach Franklin, in a season, on a night when so much was out of your control, how did you keep your team focused on what they could control?
Because everything was in our control. The only thing we were focused on in Michigan was Michigan State. We took control of that. I'm really proud of our guys. Got a great staff, got great kids.
As you have all season, another monstrous second half, 35 unanswered points. What does that say about this team?
We don't like to score points in the first half. We get things ironed out. Just really proud of our kids. I'm happy for this community. I'm thankful for all the lettermen that flew in from all over the country to support us.
You just said you're happy for this community. How would you describe what it feels like to bring some happy back to Happy Valley?
Well, if I ever left my office, I could experience some of it, but we'll have plenty of time for that in all season.
James, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, Brock, he's got a little more time to spend at his office as they're headed to the Big Ten championship game.
Congratulations to the program. That early season adversity made them one tough out.
For Allison and Brock, I'm Bob Wischusen. Penn State wins it. We head back to Adnan and the college football scoreboard.